couple weeks ago, we were hosting Rooftop Leadership Live for the fall here in Tampa, Florida, and we had a really cool room of people to include some great young leaders ranging between ages 18 to like 25. One of the 18-year-olds stood up who had just got a job in downtown Tampa, and he said, "Scott, I totally get the need to own the room, but what if people don't pay attention to me? What if people look at me like I don't have the rank or title necessary to put out the kind of ideas and innovation that I think I have to offer? What then? What do I do if people don't pay attention?" I think that's a great question to ask, whether you're a young person or, an underrepresented segment of the population, or heck, all of us at times find ourselves in a position where we don't feel like our voice is heard or that people are paying attention. Maybe it's low trust, maybe it's people are in their phones, maybe it's just that we're distracted by other things. But we've all been there. We all know what that's like to want to own the room, but feel like we're not able to make that connection. When I teach special operators, I often see the same thing. I'll have these young sergeants or officers say to me, when I go into these villages, when I go into the embassy, people don't pay attention to what I'm saying. What do I do about that? The first question I ask them is, are you paying attention to them? Are you fully present? Have you done the work to be present when you are in that room? Because frankly, it's impossible to own the room if you're not physically present and available to the people across from you. When I talk about narrative competence, one of the most important things that leaders need today to connect with other human beings, that is the integration of storytelling, active listening, and being physically present. So when you want to own a room, whether you're on the stage, whether you're in a negotiation with a prospect, whether you're talking all hands to your clients or to your associates, how present you are, how available you are to the other human beings around you, even with your nonverbal intentions, is everything. In fact, your intention, how you show up, is so critically important. So that's really the subject of this particular rooftop rally point, where we're looking at Own the Room for the next month and a half, is how can you be present when you are in the room, right? A couple of best practices that I would recommend for you on this one. The first one is, if you're in a meeting, right, and you have any say-so in that meeting, you should make sure that business practices are in place where there's no devices, people stack their phones, people are not interrupted. If you're the leader of that room, make it a habit of letting everybody go around the room and have their say before you talk. And even if you are a junior member in that room, make sure that you don't display any of that bad behavior, and see if you can establish a relationship with the person who is the gatekeeper and get those rules in place. Even if you're not the one putting them out there, you don't want the bulls on you as the junior person or the underrepresented person, you can influence other leaders to put those rules in place. It's really, really important, that we do that. No jet skis coming behind you is also a great rule to have, or ski boats. Another one is, are you prepared to show up? When you go into a room, if you don't take the time to prepare and get ready to show up, it's going to reflect in your intentions and your physicality and all the things that you don't say. People will thin slice. Humans can smell this a mile away. You know when someone walks in the room and they're still carrying the crap from the last meeting, or they're distracted about what's going on with their wife. I've seen bosses literally take cell phone calls from their spouses, go outside and talk about some BS that has nothing to do with the meeting. People see that, people smell that. So a lot of times when we complain that people aren't paying attention, it's because we're not fully present in the first place, right? So make sure that you do the preparation to show up. I tell people it's really important to, before you walk in the next meeting, just try this. Jean-Louis Rodrigue taught me this. Close your eyes and say slowly, "I have time." Just do that 3 times before you walk in the room, right? It can have a powerful impact on shedding all that BS that you're carrying from the last thing that you did. You'll be more available when you walk in the room. When you get in the room, a couple of questions, last segment was on compelling questions. Well, important questions are often the questions that we ask ourselves in high-stakes engagements in critical situations. One question you can ask yourself is, am I listening right now? Am I really listening to this person across from me? How many times Do you find yourself in your cell phone or thinking about what's for supper? And yet we complain when people don't listen to us or what you're going to say next. So ask yourself in the moment, am I listening right now? And if you're not, listen in and pick back up. Another great question you can ask yourself is, am I breathing right now, right? Am I breathing? Because when we pay attention to our breath and we just do a conscious inhale with a lower belly expansion, we actually will start to listen. We will come away with whatever random thoughts we had and we'll dial back into the other party. So if you want to be a better listener, if you want to be more present, just ask yourself, am I breathing? And notice your own breath. 2 great books on that, Beautiful Questions and Breathe, Dr. Belisa Veronich. Being present is really not that hard. I will tell you, I have worked with a lot of people on being present, and I've noticed how when people are not present, it can change everything. You know, some of the worst violators of this are senior leaders. Senior leaders in the government level, the corporate level, for some reason we think that when we get to a certain level, we can just stop paying attention to our people, that we can pull our phone out or we can be distracted. Well, what kind of message does that send to your juniors? What kind of message does that send out, you know, even outside the meeting rooms, right? So senior leadership teams should really pay attention to this. I was working with a corporate organization not too long ago, and the senior leadership meetings were terrible because they couldn't get anything done. Well, I went in there and started watching the behavior, and nobody was present. Everybody was somewhere else in that meeting, and these were some of the most senior people in the company. So we had to put some rules in place about devices and how we treat each other in the meeting, right? But once they started to do that and they started to show up and be present for each other, guess what? Collective output started to happen and things started to roll downhill, and the word got out that these leaders were actually starting to take their meetings seriously, and it started to trickle downhill, right? But who do you think we violate this thing about being present with the most? The people we care about the most. Our spouse, our significant other, our children. Those are the ones we normally violate this rule of being present with. We're least present with the people that we're most comfortable with, who we love the most. So the good news is you can change that right away. You can start to practice on being present right now. And if you can be present with your loved ones, then you can be present when you're in the room. It just takes moving the needle from instinct to skill. Here's another compelling question you can ask yourself as I race to the finish line to see how much more smoke I can inhale from this fire. But I'm not giving up. I'm going to stay right in there. I'm going to be present with you. And the question that you can ask yourself in the moment, the question that you can ask yourself when you are surrounded by your most significant people in your life is, am I really here right now? When your little 5-year-old is talking to you about her day, ask yourself, am I really here right now, or am I worried about what's happening with the budget? Am I really here right now, or am I wanting to go out and cook dinner, right? When your spouse is talking to you about his day, ask yourself, am I here right now, or am I really thinking about what I'm going to say next or how I can tell them how they can fix their problem? A great question to ask. Am I here right now? And then am I breathing? And am I listening? And that will bring you in. That will make you present. That will make you available to the other party. And guess what? When we're available to other people, they start to pay attention to us. It's this funny, quirky little thing called reciprocity. And it's only been around for about 250,000 years. Get present, get available, own the room. Come to Rooftop Leadership Live April 3 through 5, and you can learn how to do this in real time for seriously strategic results. You don't want to miss this. Thanks for what you do, and I'll see you on the rooftop.